Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Brain Cancer Podcast. More specifically, welcome to our 2023 edition of Glioblastoma Awareness Day. I don't remember if we did an episode in 2020. Either way, we will be doing one every year from now on. Just a brief bit of history. This was started in 2019 after the death of former Senator John McCain. So this is the 5th year of its observance. It is observed on the 3rd Wednesday of the month of July. This year, it falls on July 19th, which is also when this episode will be going live. I'm recording this a few days ahead of time so that I have enough time to sit down and edit it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, obviously, but as usual, I would like to give a small personal update. This past week, I had to go to MGH for my usual labs for my lomustine. Things looked pretty good. My platelets were slowly recovering. My absolute neutrophils were trending downward, but still in the normal range. So we decided to do another set of labs. We will see how things look then. But in the meantime, she was going to prescribe my 5th cycle of lomustine. And once we take a look at the results of the lab work, we will go ahead from there. Likely I'll be starting it on Saturday morning, but nothing is set in stone yet until we review the labs. Next MRI isn't until September 1st. That's going to be closer towards the end of our summer season. And it's really going by quickly, just like this entire year has been. However, we have some tall sunflowers growing out there. I've got roses in bloom. The herbs are coming along nicely. All of the marigolds I've planted from seed have come up and have really added a lot of color to the yard. I should have tomatoes soon. I've got some big squash out there. Lots of peppers should be ready in a few weeks. And overall, it's just a relaxing hobby that I really enjoy. And that's just spending time out in the garden, doing yard work, cleaning up. I just put on some music and go. And it's relaxing and therapeutic for me. But I think that's about it, just from my personal standpoint right now. I always like to keep you all updated because this is a form of therapy for myself. And no matter what, I'm always going to be honest with you all. Also, for anybody who has just discovered the show, possibly by searching for Glioblastoma Awareness Day, I want to say welcome. Give the show a sub, like, favorite, review, whatever you want. But thank you. Thank you for being here. Just a quick overview. In September of 2016, I was diagnosed after I had a couple seizures and some severe personality change. I ended up in the MGH ER, was admitted that same evening, which was a late Saturday into an early Sunday. They had scheduled my first craniotomy for Monday morning. Sunday was mostly spent prepping and trying to figure out what was even happening on that day. I had my surgery Monday morning. It went about 9-ish hours. I don't remember exactly, but it was definitely somewhere in the ballpark of 9 hours. I was back home by 2 or 3 in the afternoon on that Wednesday. So I only spent Monday night and Tuesday night after surgery in the hospital, and I was discharged on Wednesday afternoon. I'm trying to remember all of the things that happened because there's so much that was going through my head. I still didn't really know what was going on, but I was able to recover there. When I had my follow-up with the radiation oncologist and then my neuro-oncologist, I was given the news that I was diagnosed with a glioblastoma. I was also given the option between participating in a clinical trial and doing the standard of care. My doctor explained the benefits of doing the clinical trial and also the fact that the standard of care was always going to be an option. It wasn't going to disappear. That I listened to her and did the clinical trial for an immunotherapy called durvalumab. And at the time it was referred to as MEDI 4736. I know I have linked this trial in the description a couple times, but I can certainly do that again if you wanted to look at the data. It combined the radiation portion of the standard of care with infusions, I believe, every week or every other week for the 6 weeks of radiation, and then every 2 weeks for a year for the infusion of the durvalumab. My scans kept coming back clear. I was doing pretty well, and I was given the approval to stay on a monthly maintenance dose of durvalumab. I stayed on that until March 2021, when the trial and the drug were basically at the end point, and I couldn't do the maintenance anymore. Not because I was having an issue with it, but it was just the end of the maintenance period. Not too much longer after that, one of my MRIs showed some growth in the tumor cavity. We weren't sure exactly if it was a recurrence, so we decided to watch it. Over the next 2 scans, it appeared to grow a little bit and kind of change shape. So we decided on doing a second surgery, which was in May of 2021. The hope was that it would just be an unnecessary brain surgery and it wasn't actually tumor because we weren't 100% sure. I'm glad that we did it though because it was a recurrence, which wasn't wholly unexpected. The sample that they removed was also sent for further genetic testing where they found the MSH6 mutation as well as the Notch1 gene fusion mutation. I've done a little bit of research into some of them, and my doctor was pretty excited, actually, to see a couple of those mutations come through because she knows somebody that researches a couple of those specific mutations, and I'm more than willing to let my samples, whatever, be used for further testing and hopefully be able to develop new therapies based on certain mutations. That is the primary goal of the treatment that we're all going through right now in the cancer revolution, cancer treatment revolution, if you will. Mutations have become far more important in the past 5 years, and ever since the 2021 WHO brain tumor guidelines have come out, they've placed a much greater emphasis on mutations when assigning grades and an official diagnosis. So I did 7 rounds of temozolomide, but because my tumor is unmethylated, it didn't really do much at all. So we pivoted to doing another 10 sessions of radiation, and then I went on the lomustine. We did the 10 sessions first. After the 10 sessions were done, that was about the end of November. Okay, I had to pause this and go check the date just to make sure. I had finished it on November 22nd, 2022. And then by the end of December, I had started the lomustine, which I am still currently on. So between being diagnosed in September of 2016, I am nearing 7 years, actually, which is amazing to me. Over the course of these nearly 7 years, I've learned so much. I've gained so much more appreciation for life, for what I have, how lucky I am, and just a general feeling of wanting to give back to the community and people in general. I do think it's sad that people don't really appreciate what they have. And there's such a pressure on people to put on an act of some sort or try and show off for internet fame or whatever it might be. That's just not me. It's the same with this show. It's not about me. It's about all of us coming together and sharing our experiences, sharing our knowledge, being supportive of one another. I know I've lost people. You may have lost people. It shouldn't take a brain tumor diagnosis to just be good human beings. I don't understand why it has to be so difficult. All right, I'm going to stop going off on any tangents right now because we have to stay focused here. I wanted to quickly go over some stats that I have found in a couple different places online, which I will also link in the description. I source most of my stats from the ABTA and various journals that I found online, but here we go. Obviously, we know that glioblastoma is one of the most complex, deadly, and it is very treatment resistant. More than 14,490 Americans are expected to receive a GBM diagnosis in 2023. I'm sorry for all of the international people. It's really hard to find worldwide stats on this because some of these brain tumor charities and some of the other sources that I found are either America or UK based. It's really hard for me to find stats that would include all of the countries around the world, and I think that it's very possible in some developing countries there are lots of brain tumor diagnoses or glioblastoma diagnoses that are just never actually identified. That makes it really difficult to find solid numbers. GBM accounts for 50.1% of all primary malignant brain tumors. It is estimated that more than 10,000 individuals in the United States will succumb to glioblastoma every year. The 5-year survival rate for glioblastoma patients is only 6.9%, and the average length of survival for GBM patients is estimated to only be in this 8 to 18 month range. That really does depend on the patient, how far the disease has spread, where it's located. But in general, that 12, 15, 18 months is the mean for what it is for glioblastoma diagnosis. None of that has been lost on me in these nearly 7 years. Unfortunately, the survival rates haven't changed in 40, 50, 60 years? Temozolomide showed statistically significant results by giving patients an extra, I'd have to double check, but I believe it was 2.8 months. That's completely unacceptable in my opinion. The lomustine that I'm on, that was approved in 1978. I don't think we're in a good way when a good portion of our fellow brain cancer and GBM patients, one of our best options is a 45-year-old drug. And it's not for a lack of trying either. It's just glioblastoma is so incredibly complex, very treatment resistant. It knows how to hide and evade our immune system, and we're in desperate need of new treatments. That's another reason why I'm so in favor of clinical trials, and there's so much potential in these vaccine therapies, the CAR T-cell therapies. I did an entire episode on some of these new and upcoming treatments, some of which have been pretty successful, others have not, but that's the way it is in brain cancer and cancer research. And not really a measurable statistic, but the toll that a disease like this takes on not just the patient, but everybody around the patient. And the patient, you, me, whomever it might be, might have to stop driving, stop working, give up certain things. You lose an amount of independence that you once had. It can be very physically and mentally draining. And the same goes for the caregiver. It can also be very expensive, but no matter what, I'm not going to get into the state of the United States healthcare and insurance systems because we would be here far longer than any of us would want. So I briefly spoke about some of the advances that we've been making. There's been a lot of promise with various vaccine therapies. The Zika virus has been a really interesting one, as well as also using a modified version of the polio virus. I also want to note that in the past 6 months, we've seen huge increases in the advancement of AI. Now, we're all hearing about how AI is going to destroy humanity and the effects that this could have just on the human population in general. But here for cancer research, this could be revolutionary. If we can have AI learning, building, and running these models, it can speed up our modeling and testing exponentially. Granted, it can't replace human treatment. What I mean is the human participation in clinical trials, for example. We're obviously going to be able to harness the power of AI to quickly cull through less viable options and look for the best combinations for each individual patient. I also did want to briefly touch on some of the resources that we do have available. I will provide links in the description, of course. As most of you know, I am involved with the ABTA, the American Brain Tumor Association. There is a new patient brochure that you can download, a dictionary for brain tumor terminology that you can also download. In addition, the ABTA is hosting a glioblastoma new patient webinar. I will post the link for the registration in the description. You can also sign up and they will send you a copy that you can watch afterwards. Usually they do upload them to their YouTube channel as well, which is definitely a good resource as well. Finally, I do want to mention that September 8th and September 9th, which is a Friday and Saturday, the ABTA National Conference will be taking place. This is held out in Chicago at the hotel, which is right near the airport. They are offering group rates if you wanted to travel out there. I will also post a link to that in the description as well. It's also going to be held online again this year. I really had wanted to get out this year, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So that is definitely a goal for next year. There are a few other resources that I will post in the description as well, although I still highly recommend going through the ABTA and your local hospital. It's also possible that they have put together their own brain cancer or glioblastoma pamphlet, if you will. I'm not really sure what my goal here was, but I just wanted to have a resource for Glioblastoma Awareness Day 2023 and beyond. Who knows where we will be in another year? Who knows where we will be in 5 years? But as long as I am here, I will be back soon with another episode. I'm not exactly sure what it will be yet, but I've got a couple ideas in my little notepad file on my computer here. But that will be wrapping it up for this particular episode. Glioblastoma is an awful disease. It's taken far too many people, far too early, and I know that there are better treatment options out there just waiting to be found. Remember, statistics are just statistics. What you see online is not what is always in real life. Long-term survivors are out there, and we will make sure that there are more long-term survivors in the future. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for taking the time to tune in and listen to the show. I really love doing this. I know sometimes I can ramble a little bit, but I try my best to keep it on track. Sometimes my voice doesn't always cooperate, like tonight, but I'm more focused on the message right now. I hope that's okay. I do try my best. I want every episode to sound as good as it can for you, because you all deserve that. But to wrap it up, make sure that you follow the page on Facebook at facebook.com/braincancerpodcast. You can send a message on there if you would like. Make sure that you like and follow the page. Or you can always send me a message on Gmail at braincancerpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the page on Twitter at braincancerpod. I did tweet something out, or I retweeted something the other day, so we're making progress. Make sure that you subscribe, follow, and potentially leave a review if you would like on whatever podcast app you're using, whether it's Apple or Google, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, whatever it might be. If you ever need me for any reason, don't hesitate to reach out. It might take me a day to respond, and I might write you like half of a novel, but I want to make sure that if you ask me any questions, I give you the best answer that I can. If you ever need to chat or whatever on the phone or Discord, whatever it might be, we can make it work. And I truly mean that. If you need to call or whatever it might be, don't hesitate. I know sometimes it can seem like you might not have another option, but I'm always here. Or if I'm not here, then I'm at work, but you know what I mean. If you're taking the time to listen to me, I'm going to take the time to listen to you. Talk, and we'll both get through this. So we're going to call it here. Once again, thank you. It's hard for me to explain how much you all mean to me. I will definitely be back with another update soon, and I do have a couple good ideas for some episodes. But in the meantime, as usual, I hope you all have a great day or night, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.